Hey YouTube, we're back with another video. For those of you that are new to the channel, just a Valorant content creator, coach, whatever. Just play the game, try to teach you guys what I know so you can do a little bit better. And I hit ready in a few times. So the topic of this video is kind of like flow state, the zone, like kind of like how to perform and the mental game aspect beside it. Or yeah, I guess the mental game that includes it. I'm doing this video just because it's something that I kind of overlooked when I was competing. I just finished listening to the book Inner Game of Tennis. If you've read it, great. You probably don't need to watch this video. If you haven't, highly recommend it. This is kind of like a little summary and my thoughts on it. So, as you all know, like there's so much content around there already about Valorant and how to get better, but there's less content, or like there's like less of an emphasis on the mental game and performing and how to like handle your inner thoughts. So that's kind of where this book, Inner Game of Tennis, comes into play. And as a disclaimer, I just finished listening to this book on Audible, but it was so useful, or I guess so mind opening, that I wanted to make a video and share it to you guys. So this book kind of explains flow state as like getting into the zone or playing out of your mind. They never directly say flow state, but I think in our terms, it's useful to use the word flow state. So as some key takeaways from this book for me, just gonna list off to you guys here. There's an outer game and an inner game. And for us, Valorant is considered the outer game, right? Like, you know, you're trying to win the game, there's the rounds, things like that. And the inner game is what most of us neglect. You know, it's the game that we play inside of our heads, like how we talk to ourselves, how we criticize ourselves, the self-doubt, the lack of focus, you know, sometimes even some self-praise when you have a good game or when you play well. But the goal of this book kind of is to illustrate how to get into relaxed concentration, which I consider flow state. So in this book, it explains it like you just want to trust yourself and like let it happen. And then you'll play your best. And this is kind of not to be confused with autopilot. I'll get into more of this later. So there are two selves. You have self 1 and self 2. Self 1 is kind of like described as like your ego, your inner thoughts, you know, like that critical mind that you have. And then self 2 is your body. So whatever performs the actions. And the goal is to quiet self 1 and trust self 2. And now this is really important because the book kind of explains that flow state is always there. Like self 2 is always there, but self 1 gets in the way of it. So instead of thinking about how can I get into flow state, how can I perform at my peak, it's more so how can I quiet myself so that I can let self 2 play the game, which is very interesting. But you know, they make these analogies to like children and stuff because they don't really have a self 1 yet. If you watch a child walk and they learn how to walk, they're going to fall, they're going to get up, they're going to learn by process of natural learning, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, as we've kind of grown older and kind of formed our thoughts and have our thoughts, that's where our ego is made, right? So, you know, if you can kind of learn how to like quiet your ego and just let yourself play the game with focus, that's kind of where you enter flow state. So there's kind of like some steps to this, but some of the things that they kind of outlined was visualize what you want to happen, trust self 2, and then observe the result without judgment. So this is kind of like something that you can think about like when you're doing drills or aim training. Just visualize, you know, like your crosshair going to the bot's head, you know, it clicking, and then you going on, and then you try it yourself. You don't really think about it too much, and then if you're on target, if you're off target, you just make that observation, and then you keep going. And instead of being like, oh my god, I underflicked again, or I overflicked again, or why do I keep missing, blah blah, like you just observe without judgment, good or bad. And that's kind of like the outline that they had for natural learning. And then in terms of like when you actually want to perform in a game, the way that you can kind of quiet self 1 I kind of like related it to like focusing on your crosshair. So in the book, they say like focus really intently on like the ball and the seams of the ball. I think for us, that's just going to be like really dialing on your crosshair when you're playing the game. And then like in between rounds, one way that you can kind of like facilitate, a round loss or even a round win, or like if you just came off of a clutch or you just played really well or your teammates do a clutch, whatever the thing may be, to like recenter yourself during the pregame or like the pre-round so you're ready for the upcoming round. It's just to focus on your breath. So that doesn't mean change your breath. That doesn't mean, count each breath. I guess you could do that, but it's just like notice your breath and like just be aware of it and focus on it. And this goes back to quieting self one. So if you can really like laser focus your self one or your thoughts onto something, then that doesn't leave any room for self one to like be mean to yourself or even praise yourself, like it's so intently focused on this one thing that you're stuck in the present moment and your focus is like, I guess, laser focused, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of something I've been trying ever since I started reading the book, is it just have less negative or positive thoughts when I play. And I want to say it's helping, but like I said, kind of just finished the book, but regardless. So yeah, focusing on your crosshair when you play, focusing on your breath. Of course, it doesn't have to be a crosshair or your breath, but those are two things that we always have around. So it's easy to do that. And then the last thing in the book that kind of, I guess, opened my eyes for me is that recognizing competition is inherently cooperation. So the reason why I think it's important for me to realize this is because anytime I died to like a lurk or like something that I thought was cringe, like let's say the judge or an op, I would just like write it off as like, oh my God, this guy's playing so cringe. They want it more. They're doing double fakes, triple fakes. Like this is just out of the ordinary. It's not fun to play against. And I would kind of just like write it off as like, oh, these guys are trying too hard and I'm just going to play my game. And, if they do this cringe strat to counter me, it is what it is, which is not a good thing, right? Like the reason why this kind of opened my eyes to it is like, I should be wanting them to play cringe and do these things that counter my gameplay so that my play style and my game understanding can expand. And it's not like I didn't know these things. It's just that I didn't want to accept that that is actually a viable and smart way to play the game. So like I need to adapt. Just because I wrote it off as cringe, which I think it is cringe, doesn't mean like I shouldn't adapt to it. So I guess like if you understand that competition is cooperation and they're challenging you to expose your weaknesses and create obstacles to make you better, then that is where if you accept that, that is where you get the most out of each game. So view everything as a challenge and try to overcome it, and that's where you'll get better. So yeah, I'll link a Inner Game of Tennis book summary. Not mine. I just Googled one and I found it, and I thought it summed up the book decently well. So if you guys want to get more context on the book, definitely go there. I listened to the book on Audible, but it's probably better to have a physical copy for these type of books. It seemed like a little bit more info intensive, so I might end up getting a physical copy just to read it over again. But I really wish I listened or read this book when I was competing. I feel like if I could have figured out the inner game a little bit more while I was competing, maybe I would have been a more successful player, because I don't really think it was my individual like performance in the game that like was the problem. It was always just my mental game. And like winning the inner game and playing the inner game, I think will be really useful to a lot of you guys, understanding how to be nice to yourself or not nice to yourself, I guess. Being able to enter flow state and quieting your thoughts so you can actually apply what you've been trying to learn will be big. So yeah, just wanted to make this video to kind of throw that out there. That's basically the video. I just wanted to end off with this video unrelated to the Inner Game of Tennis content that I'm doing great. I appreciate all the comments. I'm excited to continue the YouTube journey and the coaching journey and the Twitch, just the content creator journey and all that stuff. And hopefully you guys will be there with me. I was kind of reflecting on where I was a year ago and it's pretty incredible. Like in 1 year's time, what you can do. Like I'm in a new apartment. I'm with a new person. My job like is now this. You know, I take care of myself. I go to the gym. I eat somewhat okay. I have a more social life than I did last time. Like, yeah, I guess I'm really grateful, and I wanted to kind of just maybe recommend to you guys to reflect on the work that you guys done in the past few years and be proud of yourself. You know, it's really easy to get lost in the moment and get on that grind culture, hustle culture, Sigma mindset, whatever. Like keep going. But I think it's important to just sit back and take in your wins. And um, we are winners. You are a winner for watching this video, just because this will hopefully help you. So anyways, I love you all and good luck out there. Peace out.